Hello, everybody. Welcome. Just going to give everybody a couple more minutes to join in here. We got some people rolling in, but we're excited that you have all decided to join us today. We have a great webinar coming at you, and we will start in just a couple of minutes as we wait for some more people to join in. Awesome. For those of you who are just joining, welcome. We will get started in just another minute or two here, waiting for a couple more people to roll on in. We'll get started at about 10:02, 10:03. All right, looks like we're going to go ahead and get started here. Welcome, everybody. My name is Tyler Santos, and I'm the Senior Director of Business Development here at the National Sports Forum. I'm delighted to welcome you all to today's webinar, introducing new audiences to a new live event experience and professional sport presented by Tixr. Our moderator, Jerry McNamara, the Senior Executive of Partnerships at Tixr, will be joined by panelists Connor Pardoe and Parker Roberts. Connor Pardoe is the founder and CEO of the Professional Pickleball Association, and Parker Roberts is the PPA's Director of Onsite Revenue. They will be discussing how the PPA built a vertically integrated sports property and how they have leveraged a blend of events, modern technology, and digital media to tap into a building of fandom amongst the fastest growing participation sport in America. We are so excited to have Tixr as an official sponsor of us here at the NSF. Tixr is a global experiential commerce leader transforming the ticket buying experience. Born from a fan-focused frame of mind, the Tixr platform empowers large-scale facilities, teams, leagues, and events with a simple solution to highly complex ticketing and e-commerce problems. Tixr proudly services over 500 of the most respected live entertainment brands in 40 countries, including more than 20 sports partnerships such as Live Golf, Acura Long Beach Grand Prix, the Professional Pickleball Association Tour, and more. Now, before I hand it over to Jerry, I just want to let everybody know that if you like the content you hear today, we have our virtual spring summit coming up in just a couple of weeks on May 17th. This unique virtual conference allows attendees to experience a full day of virtual education, idea sharing, networking amongst like-minded individuals from the industry. To learn more, please visit our website, www.sports-forum.com. Now, we have some great discussion coming up here today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jerry McNamara, the Senior Executive of Partnerships at Tixr. Jerry, take it away.
Tyler, thank you for the introduction. Parker and Connor, if you guys can come behind the velvet curtain there, we can introduce you all to everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Connor Pardoe and Parker Roberts of the Pickleball Professional Association. Connor, really quick, if you can just let us know, what is pickleball for everyone who's watching today? And what, how does it differ from a tennis or a ping pong or other racket sports?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Obviously appreciate you having us on today. Pickleball, it's a sport that's definitely grown a lot over the past 4 years. I got into the sport in 2018, kind of before this big boom that everyone's a part of now. I mean, it doesn't matter really who you are. You've probably been exposed to pickleball in some way. You either know somebody who's tried it, you've tried it yourself, you've seen it in the news, you've seen it in the media. But pickleball, it's actually been around for quite some time. And so it's a sport that it's similar to, I guess, racket sports, which would be badminton, ping pong, or tennis. and it's played on a hard court, which is similar to a tennis court, but just about a fourth of the size. So that's really what pickleball is. It's inclusive, it's fun, it's addictive, and it's the fastest growing sport in the world right now.
And Parker, you're on site quite often. You're the director of Onsite Revenue. What have you seen in the last 2 years in terms of growth? And pickleball likes to say it's very inclusive. So tell us a little bit about the audience that comes to the tournaments.
Yeah, for sure. I came on about 2 years ago, and when I came on, honestly, it was pretty impressive the people they were bringing out to these events. They were filling these facilities and bringing in a few thousand people. But yeah, where we're at now, it's something that I wouldn't have thought we'd be at. We're selling out each event now, so it's grown quite a bit. But yeah, there's more than just coming and watching pickleball. There's experiences, there's food, there's events, there's clinics, there's meet and greets with the pros. So it's a lot more than just coming and watching pickleball. You can come play pickleball, you can come have kind of a fun pickleball experience. But yeah, to be honest, it's grown immensely the past 2 years that I've seen, and I can't even imagine seeing it from day one from Connor's view.
Well, before we get into the origin story, I thought I'd share a sizzle reel so everyone sees what pickleball in its current iteration looks like. So hang on 1 second. And this is what the Carvana Pickleball Association Tour looks like.
She got that. She got that. She got that. She got that. Okay. She got that.
Rather impressive, Connor. Can you tell us about your first pickleball experience, your first pickleball tournament?
Yeah, so our first tournament that we held was actually in February of 2020. So that would have been right before the pandemic, like literally months before. And I always say it's pretty lucky we were able to get that first event in before all the COVID stuff really hit and the world shut down. Because I don't know if we would be here today and we would have kept going, But the fact that we got that first event in and we were able to get a little taste of what we think the sport could potentially look like in the future and be able to feel that excitement from doing a first event, I think that's what kept us motivated, through the pandemic. So our first event was in Mesa, Arizona in 2019. And we literally went to a tennis facility. 0 pickleball courts were there. So we came in, we were able to negotiate with the facility and pull some strings and basically come in and flip tennis courts over to pickleball courts for the weekends. And when we're done, we flipped them back to tennis when we were done. Our very first event, we ended up having 619 players come and participate. One thing that's unique about our business model at the PPA Tour, and it's one of our slogans, is play where the pros play. So we had the best players in the world come out and compete. The very first event was a $50,000 purse total. And we had 619 amateur players coming to play. So they could play beginner, intermediate, advanced, whether they're young or old or, somewhere in between. There's a division for them where they could come play their own skill division, their own age. And then they were able to stick around, get a beer, enjoy the party-like atmosphere that's obviously grown as we've had more and more events. and be able to watch the best players in the world play. So we started with 619 players at the first event, and those were record-setting numbers just to start from the very beginning. And I remember we had our first bleacher there that only fit 200 people, and tickets were free, and we were trying to get free tickets out to local schools and businesses and whoever it may be, because no one had heard of pickleball yet.
Well, when I first met you, we were in Mesa, Arizona at a tournament. And I met your father and family and a lot of your colleagues. And that was really at the genesis of the growth spurt. Can you speak to your relationship with your father and family and all the friends that you have involved in the business?
Yeah, I mean, when we started the business, it's much like all sorts of people when they talk about starting, businesses. At least for us, this was something that it was really fun. And the way I got into pickleball is, I played with my aunt and I immediately got hooked. I really enjoyed the sport of pickleball. And growing up, I had a dad. I have a really, really good father. He grew up coaching all my AAU basketball, my little league football, my t-ball, kind of everything below the sun, and was really involved with my sports all the way from when I was 6 years old until I went to college. And one thing that we had never experienced together is really being able to play a sport or do an activity where we could kind of be at the same skill level and have a lot of fun together. So we started playing pickleball and we instantly got hooked. And it was something I was able to play with my dad. And quite frankly, when we're playing, he was the better player on the court, right? So he's in his 50s, I'm in my 20s. And it was just, I'd never seen anything like it. And so that's how we got into the sport. And we actually started traveling around. My family, we own a real estate development firm. And so I was working for the firm, actually managing the senior living portfolio, 55 and older housing, assisted living, skilled nursing. And we went to go visit a project back east, and we decided to play in a pickleball tournament when we went. So we kind of used work as an excuse to go travel around and start playing a little bit of pickleball. And so there was an event back there that had like 300 players, and we're like, this looks fun. So we went back and we played, and we saw there was a prize money division. And so we decided we were going to watch some of the better players. They were claiming to be the best players in the world at the time. And my dad and I, we started watching some of these players play. It was actually Annalie Waters, who's the #1 player in the world right now. It was her very first tournament ever at the age of 12. And I remember sitting there watching the game, and I turned to my dad and I was like, I'm having more fun watching this than I did at the US Open tennis a month ago. I was like, this is just interesting. So we started asking questions, trying to understand. We heard how much money they were competing for. And we're like, you know what? It'd be fun to have a little circuit and have 5 or 6 events. It could be a fun hobby. And it could be really interesting. And so, from that point forward, we decided we were going to put 4 events on the following year. And instead of paying out $10,000 in prize money, we were going to pay $50,000 out an event. And we thought it'd be fun. And then that really grew into what you see today.
I remember sitting with you and your father in Mesa, and you had mentioned to me Anna Lee and what her prize winnings were over the last calendar year. Can you share what some of the tournament professionals are actually making in prize money?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's another thing that I've seen. Like, I've seen a sport go from people that were all doing this as a hobby. And sure, maybe you had some pros, but you would think of those pros similar to like teaching pros in golf. Pros that work at the local pro shop and teach lessons and play at a pretty high level. We've been able to see a whole industry start, whether it be on our side, going from 5 employees now up to 65 people just focused on the PPA tour, but also on the professional side, where I've just seen the professional game grow, how many players are playing. We now currently have 65 exclusive pickleball players that play pickleball professionally on tour. And just this year, they'll be competing for $10 million of at-risk money throughout the season, throughout the 52-week period. And, when I started, immediately the best players in the world started making around $100,000 pretty quickly when it came to earnings and endorsements. And now where we're at is, your top 5 guys and your top 5 girls are all making over $1 million. Your next 5 down are all making over $500,000, and all 65 players are making all 65 players are now making a living, making over $150,000 playing pickleball. So it's been pretty exciting to see a whole industry really grow from a professional level with the organization and the players. And just, it seems like a long time, but it's only been 4 years and it's grown a lot.
So would you consider yourself at scale?
Oh, at scale? You mean like where it's going to go?
Well, has pickleball hit critical mass?
Definitely not. Definitely not. But I know when I started this, one of the organizations I looked at was AVP Beach Volleyball. And I kind of circled that and I was like, that's what I want to beat. I want to beat that. And our revenues far surpass that now. We're bigger. We've got bigger media coverage. We're a lot bigger as an organization. And I'd be lying to you if I would have said we would have got there, in 3 years, we would have already passed AVP Beach Volleyball. But yeah, no, we're definitely not at scale. I mean, the fact that we have millions and millions of people playing pickleball, and I think what it comes from is the sport is just so easy to play. I always say there's 3 things that make pickleball. It's not a fad, and it's the reasons why we're not slowing down, and there's going to be so much opportunity in the future. The first one is just the barrier to entry is just so low. Like, I don't care who you are, at some point in your life, you wish you had an athletic hobby. I don't care if you're skinny, if you're fat, if you're old, if you're young, you wish you were an athlete in some kind of way. And pickleball just has that thing where you can go out and you can hit the ball, and then you can think, man, I could be pretty damn good at this. This is fun. Like, I can actually get the ball back and forth. It's easier than tennis. It's easier than ping pong. I don't care who you are, you can play and you can have a good time. So I think that's one thing that leaves people wanting to come back and back for more and more. The second is it's just really easy and affordable to build courts. Almost anyone can put one in their backyard unless they're living in a city. And it's so cheap to be able to come in and resurface tennis courts. And you can now have 16 people playing where 2 people were playing before. So I think that, obviously is very important. And then the last one is just how addictive it is. Every time you leave a court, you think I could get better. You go and look up Tyson McGuffin on YouTube. And so with those things, I liken pickleball similar to golf, where, if you know somebody that really plays a lot of golf, they probably like watching golf and they like being a part of golf. And so that's all we need to do. We need more people to play the sport, and we need the people that play the sport to care about the PPA Tour. And so that's what we're waking up and thinking about every day. How can I get all those people down at the park to care about Ben Johns and buy a ticket from Parker Roberts,
And speaking of, good segue, Parker, in terms of your relationship with the sport, how did pickleball fall onto your lap, or is it something that you pursued, and how did you meet Connor and team?
Yeah, I mean, I had played pickleball. I knew of it, but I knew one of Connor's business partners, and kind of when they started growing, they reached out and said they wanted to start ticketing their events. They had already kind of been doing it, but they didn't have someone kind of over the ticketing side. So that was my first role. I came in, we linked up with Tixr, so they were a big asset there, and then we just started ticketing events. But yeah, how I initially got started is I knew one of Connor's business partners.
Would that be Bryce?
It was Connor Ogden, actually.
Connor Ogden, who's the chief operating officer of pickleball. So you mentioned Tixr, both you and Connor. I remember Connor in the early days of conversations. What was it regarding the Tixr platform that was appealing to you versus some of the other ones?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, and this isn't just a plug because you're the one here moderating, because I would say this to anybody. But we were at a point where, literally, we were taking cash at the door with Square to start. You think of any startup, like I started this with my 5 best friends. That's really what the business started with, was my brother and a couple buddies. And, we started looking at the people coming, and we're like, man, if we could just get $10 a person, they pay it for AAU basketball. Why wouldn't they pay it here? And we eventually we went to Eventbrite just because it was easy. We could do online, that we could do ourselves. And then we got to this point where, we needed help. Like, I needed help understanding a lot of different things, how we should set it up, how we should charge people, how we could market to people. We needed software. We needed to be able to start collecting data. And so we did our research. We had a couple different groups of people that we work with, and we asked them who do you know that could help us? And Tixr was one of the 5 companies that were brought to us, and they were big companies that we were talking to that were interested in pickleball, companies like Ticketmaster and StubHub and SeatGeek and Tixr and a bunch of other ones. And when we were looking at who to partner with, the thing that really stuck out to me about Tixr is obviously their capabilities and their tech and their software. I think it's far superior than anything else on the market. And I think the other part that was really enticing to me personally was the kind of support and care and mentorship that we could get from the group. It was almost a company that had all the bells and whistles and seemed more superior to the others, but still small enough where pickleball would matter. And we weren't just going to get lost in the day-to-day shuffle. And it's been one of the best decisions we've made, because that area of our business is one that is going to continue to scale and continue to grow. And we're doing more than I ever could have thought as far as it comes to people coming out and buying tickets to watch pickleball.
That's awesome. Thanks, Connor. Parker, we discussed this prior to the forum going live today, but this weekend will mark our 1-year anniversary together. And we've looked at some of the data, and wow, it's impressive. From where we were at last year and to where we're at this year, PPA is on pace to do almost triple and probably eclipse triple in total ticket sales from last year. What would you attribute that to?
Yeah, it honestly is pretty impressive. Last year, North Carolina, we have an event this weekend. It was our first event with Tixr last year. And right now we've already doubled, and we're on track to triple, maybe even more, in terms of ticket sales. But yeah, what sold me with Tixr was the look and feel of Tixr. Like Connor said, we had a lot of great options on the table, but Tixr, I was a little worried that maybe it was your presentation or your sales pitch to us, but the look and feel of Tixr just looks newer. It can include more kind of what we're going for, more than just the ticket. So I would say that plays a lot to it. It's a lot more than just selling a ticket. We really like the look and feel of the Tixr platform.
I'm actually doing a screen share right now of an event here at the end of the year. This is the U.S. Pickleball National Championships that'll be in Texas. But as you can see, there's a lot more inventory than what we first started off with, right? Connor and Parker, we were first doing just kind of regular tickets and passes, but here we've included VIP, and then I'm going to continue shopping here. We go down, and now you're selling clinics and events. How did clinics and events become a category for itemization and commerce?
Yeah, our events are a lot more than just watching pickleball. There's events and clinics going on all day from 8 a.m. till 11 p.m. at night. There's events with the pros. There's events with your friends, your family. It's just kind of the heart of what we do. It's more than just, pickleball is very social. It's more than just watching it. There's a lot to do at any of our events.
It's really cool too. I think what we've noticed, just in terms of our cart sizes as well, not only are we on pace to triple what we've done in ticket sales, but the cart sizes have almost quadrupled just from a single ticket. Now there's just much more commerce. Is there anything that you would like to do moving forward that, you take advantage more of the platform, or something you see on site that you would like to implement into the purchase flow?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things, and honestly, it looks better, but I'm still embarrassed that it's not further along, because we can do so much with Tixr. There's so much opportunity there. We also own Pickleball Central, which is the largest pickleball e-commerce shop in the world. And so, we go direct to consumer, and just like a PGA, just like if you're at a PGA tour stop and they have the big PGA superstore on site, we have that at all of our events. So I think one thing for us is being able to help push gear and merch and paddles and balls and hats, and being able to try to get as much of that stuff pre-sold and sold beforehand. That's probably something we're going to look to leverage and do. And then just trying to build out the event business on the side of it. Sure, tickets are tickets, and there's a lot of growth that we can have there, but Parker kind of hit the nail on the head. We want to be pickleball's largest party, 25 weeks of the year. And so just trying to have more of an offering for everybody, no matter who it is, being able to come participate and have a fun weekend.
Connor and Parker, can you speak to the relationship with Tom Dundon and give everyone a little recap of who he is, a little bit about the partnership there, and then the vertical integration of the sport? You mentioned Pickleball Central, but there were some disparate entities that have all kind of been rolled up under one governing body. Can you share the story regarding that?
Yeah, sure. So, again, first tournament in 2020, founded in 2019. And in fast forward to kind of the end of 2021, I was getting approached by about anyone you could think of in the business and sports world about wanting to buy the company or come in and take a minority interest, or are we going to be doing a Series A funding? And for us, what's really interesting about what we've done is we haven't really burned through a ton of capital to get to where we're at today. We really started a business and acted within our means and had a lot of natural growth. And so I wasn't really interested in a lot of those different partners that wanted to come in and be a part of what we were doing, because I could see the trajectory and I wanted to just continue to do what I was doing because I was having a lot of fun doing it. And so selling the business was kind of out of the question. But again, late in 2021, I got lined up with a gentleman here out of Dallas, Texas. His name's Tom Dundon. And one thing that I guess started to enamor me a little bit is Tom. He just seemed to kind of get it. And he was my style of guy and he wanted to be really aggressive, and he really believed in the sport of pickleball. And so Tom's past life, he owns the NHL Carolina Hurricanes. They've got game 1 of the second round of the NHL playoffs tomorrow. So go ahead and cheer them on. But and then he also found Topgolf when Topgolf was really just a chip and a ball, and turned it into what you see today, and ended up selling that to Callaway. And he's still on the board over there at Topgolf Callaway. And one thing that I thought was interesting is he's like, we have the opportunity to make pickleball whatever we want it to be. And so we were able to kind of look around and see who some of the industry leaders are, like Pickleball Central, which is it had the largest database and the largest direct-to-consumer e-commerce brand selling pickleball gear. There's another company called pickleballtournaments.com and pickleballbrackets.com. Those are the really only SaaS-based companies when it comes to running events, running tournaments, clinics, software for clubs. So we came in and basically made a plan to come in and acquire all of the businesses in pickleball that we could bring under our umbrella and be able to use all the resources to continue to scale and continue to grow. And so that's what was really exciting to me, because I'm a big believer in pickleball as a whole. The professional level, sure, it's grown a lot, but so has selling paddles and balls and nets and people participating in events and people consuming media. And so just being able to come in and buy those businesses and be able to kind of roll it all up into one, that's what was most interesting to me. And so, yeah, we obviously did that deal, and fast forward now, we're here in Dallas and everyone's kind of relocated here. I'm originally from Salt Lake, and we're up to 65 employees just on the PPA Tour side, and continuing to run and manage and having a lot of fun in the pickleball space.
One thing that I've seen is incredibly impressive is your portfolio of sponsors. And here's just a snapshot of it. Can you speak to how these came about and materialized, and what was that process like? These are real big names.
Yeah, again, this was one thing that really, I never knew if it would ever get to this point. I knew for it to be able to really grow and get to a real professional level, this would eventually have to happen, but I wasn't so sure about it. Like, sponsorship when we started the tour wasn't something that, we were putting up. I mean, it's really different, I guess, starting this. Like, I didn't have a pro forma together, a 10-year plan. Like, I just knew I liked pickleball and I was going to work really hard at it. And our very first event, I mean, I just put family brands out there that my family owns, like, you know what I mean? Just to show that sponsorship was going to be a part of this. And I remember Fila coming in, and Fila was our first big name sponsor to come in and really a brand that actually had a name and to get behind the sport of pickleball. And it was only 2 events in. And I started thinking, oh, wow. And so obviously the relationship with Tom helped us a lot, but sponsorships, I mean, we're going to be doing tens of millions of dollars this year in sponsorships. And we started it with 0. And so it just kind of shows for the growth of pickleball. And I think everybody's at this spot right now where they don't want to miss out. They want to be first movers. They want to come in and be a part of a sport. And I think what's even more exciting than seeing all these logos on here is, much like the Tixr relationship, we've been able to build relationships with CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, mentors, learning from people that have been there and created businesses. And I think that's really helped us be able to grow and learn and ask questions and grow as an organization.
Parker, you're on site, almost every tournament last year. What is it like to see the brands activate at the tournaments weekly?
Yeah, it's pretty fun, honestly. I mean, each of our sponsors come out and we have 10 to 20, sometimes even more, and they come out and have an activation. Some are a lot more inclusive, but yeah, you could come and not even watch pickleball and have a great day visiting our sponsor booths, the activations. They have a lot of activities going on throughout the days. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Connor, the keys to success, I've read this before for you, that there's player exclusivity, there's getting the sponsors, which we've seen a snapshot at, and enticing broadcast partners to carry the sport. Can you speak to kind of the trifecta of all 3 of those in play together at this moment in time?
Yeah, I think all those were really important. The players probably being the most important. We got to a point when I got to about 2020, and I thought, hey, there might be a player that comes in here that could compete, and what are we going to do to be able to protect what we're doing? And we could have never grown the PPA tour to what it is today or where it's going to go tomorrow without the pro players. Like, it's all about this relationship. Both have to be willing to give and take at certain times. And I think that speaks volumes to what we're doing. Is the best players in the world, they've really been a big part of us growing our company, and they're family to us. And they've been able to obviously see their bank accounts and what's in the bank account grow as we've been able to grow together. But there was really a big kumbaya in 2020 where it was like, guys, in order for me to continue to invest capital and time and effort and step away from my family business and what I'm doing here, like, I need you guys to commit a little to me. And so we ended up basically taking the purse and half that money being given to guarantees based on your ranking, the other half being at risk for exclusivity, which gave me the opportunity to really go in and invest more and put in more time and more effort, knowing that you're going to be around tomorrow and there's not going to be a group that's just going to come in and swoop up all the players and, ha to the guys that put in all the groundwork. And so the fact that we were able to get the best players in the world, the top 10 guys, top 10 girls to start under exclusive agreements, really gave me the ability to really be able to get in and to grow. The second part, obviously, is sponsorship. Running an event like this is very expensive. People would be surprised if they see the money that's coming in and the money that's coming out. Like, we're spending a lot of money every week. And so being able to get sponsors to come in and be able to do things the right way. The big thing for me is, like, I don't want to do it if we're not going to do it the right way. I'd rather do 4 events than 25, and I want to do them right. When you walk in, I want it to look like a PGA event. I want it to look like an ATP event. And obviously we weren't there from the get-go. We're pretty close now, and we probably have some events that people could say are better than some of those events that are held. So sponsorship was very important. And then on the broadcast side, obviously it all kind of goes together. The more eyeballs you get, the more you can get in sponsors, the more people that are coming out. And so we're in a really fun spot right now where there's a lot of main players you can see here on the screen that all are putting pickleball out on their platforms. We're yet to have like that one TV deal where we do a big media rights deal and there's one person that takes it all. But where we're at today is nobody wants to be left out and everybody wants a little bit. So, we're doing about 12 hours between ESPN, ABC this year. We have some time on NBC. We'll do over 200 hours on Tennis Channel. We did 1.25 million viewers through CBS last weekend in Newport. And then we're going to be debuting our relationship with Prime Video and Amazon here at the Atlanta Open in May. So I think this has been a big part of the overall growth. Just much like the sponsors, the TV groups, we haven't found that one person to buy in and take it all, but no one wants to be left out, which puts us in a fun spot.
That's awesome. Really quick, speaking, you mentioned data earlier, and this is a snapshot that I took this morning of all the different ticket buyers so far through this calendar year for the tour. And you can see you're pretty well represented throughout the country. The one thing I noticed is that there aren't any tournaments in Canada or international. Are there plans to have an international presence?
Yes, for sure. Where we're at with Canada is we will have an event there next year, the Toronto Open. One of our big bank sponsors is CIBC. If you haven't heard of them, you'll hear of them, pretty shortly. They're starting to make a big splash in the U.S. markets. But yes, we're going to be holding an event up in Toronto, which will be the Canadian National Championships. So it'll be a very large event up there. And then pickleball, it's growing abroad and it's really growing nationally, but not nearly as much as it's growing here in the U.S. So we're very busy here in North America, but right now we're running through the idea, and my guess is we'll probably execute on this, is having really like an international exhibition series where we go and we do one weekend in Australia, one weekend in India, one weekend in Asia, and one weekend in Europe. And we go out and much similar to what other sports have done, not to the scale where we could run a full event over there, but basically taking out 4 to 8 players and doing an exhibition and seeding paddles and trying to grow awareness of the sport is something that we're looking to do next year.
Fabulous. And then Parker, can you speak to digital media, social media, and how that's helped to influence the sport and the growth of the sport?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at our social media, it's grown all platforms. I mean, I think especially Instagram, Twitter, it's growing a ton, and that's pushed all levels. I think it's pushing people to buy tickets. It's pushing people to buy stuff. I think you're starting to see a lot more reels or highlight reels on pickleball. We've been on the Sports Center top 10 multiple times. So yeah, social media, I think, has just been a great factor in getting awareness out for what pickleball is, and that there is a pro division of pickleball.
All right. Connor, any parting words you would like to say before we get into a question and answer with people out in the cyber world?
Not really any parting words. Just want to give a big thank you to the National Sports Forum for having us on. Obviously, great content. We love following it here at the PPA Tour. And then we're really grateful for our partners, Tixr. If anyone's looking to run an event or ticketing platforms or looking to scale and grow, I think they're just a great option that can fit all sizes. Whether you're small and just starting like me, or whether you're somebody that's more polished that wants to take really their offerings to the next level, they really have a solution for everybody. And we're working with great people over there too. So you're going to have you're going to have basically great communication and people that actually care about you and your brand. And as far as pickleball goes, if you haven't played it, play. You'll get addicted. Go out and play. If you haven't watched it yet, watch. We're going to be in North Carolina this weekend. We're on ESPN Sunday night, ESPN2, and we're also on Tennis Channel all week. So feel free to watch it. We've got Jack Sock, who was the former number 8 tennis player in the world, multiple-time Grand Slam champion, coming and playing his first pickleball event. So we'll see how he does against the pickleball players. And if you're not involved in pickleball, I just encourage you to learn a little bit more about it and jump on, because we're getting to the point where there's not going to be first mover advantage anymore. We're starting to grow up. We're starting to really take the business to the next level. And there's still like this last little window where people can come in and be a part of something great. And would love to, however you want to get involved in pickleball, would extremely recommend it.
That's awesome. Really appreciate that, Connor. And what we'll say from the Tixr side is we've absolutely enjoyed growing with pickleball over the last year. We think the world of your team as well. And this is for everyone that is watching. This is a snapshot of all the tournaments that are coming up. You can find this at Tixr.com, groups PPA, or just search Professional Pickleball PPA Tour.com. You can buy your tickets there. And as Connor and Parker have done a terrific job of with the broadcast, you can always find it on some cable channel, if not national broadcast. With that, I'll turn it over to Melody and Tyler and Isabel for any questions from the crowd.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Do we get into the questions here in the chat? Let's see. We have a couple here. One of them, if y'all have not answered, Melody, did you want to do the questions, or am I going to be reading off the questions for these guys today?
You could go ahead and do it, Tyler.
All right. So let's see. One of the questions we have here is, tell us about working with quality brand sponsors who have joined the tour so far, and what seems to be the most important deliverables for the brand. So I know you guys have touched on that a little bit, but if you want to just go further into, what do brands see as the most important thing as being a partner with the Pickleball Association?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. My answer is it depends on the brand. There's some groups that really what we try to offer at the PPA Tour is be able to appeal to all brands and what they might be looking for. And depending on who you're working with, they're going to be looking for different things that they're trying to achieve. And our big thing is being able to give all partners a 360 approach, where whether it be just trying to hit that brand recognition with center court signage and being on our LED screens and trying to get logo impressions. Sure, we can do that, but we can also involve you directly with pickleball players everywhere. Our database is just over 700,000 active pickleball players. And, we have hundreds of thousands of people that come out to our events throughout the year. And so there's some brands that are really, they want to be hands-on and they want to get products in hands and they want to come elevate the actual events themselves. And then there's others that are just looking for, a play to just really grow awareness and recognition, whether that be through on-court, TV, and what have you. And so it really just depends who you're working with. Like, the guys over at Molson Coors and Miller Lite and Vizzy, they've got a much different approach than the guys over at Chase Bank, right? So it really just depends who and what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to have, diverse offerings and be willing to help cater to your sponsors and however they wish to activate. So that's awesome that you guys are, going down that road. Let's see, we have one here. So you guys talked a bit about, the international side and how you're looking to expand in that way, but we have a question here that says, is there potential for the PPA to host or sponsor local events where you go into, smaller clubs and, not the biggest markets, and you just try to kind of pull from the local market there and kind of host more of a local, less competitive style tournament?
Yeah, I'll let Parker answer that one.
Yeah, I mean, right now we actually have, people can even apply online, but we get a lot of venues reaching out to us about hosting a PPA event. So we are opening that door. But at the same time, I mean, we have a high standard for our events. We're at the top of the business. We only put on top-notch events. So yes, we are opening that door for venues to apply. They do have to meet certain criteria. They need to have a certain number of courts. They need to be able to have a championship court, things like that. But yeah, we're definitely, I mean, we get a lot of inquiries from local clubs and stuff, and we love working with them. But yeah, there's currently an application process that local clubs can now apply to host a PPA event.
Parker,
Awesome.
would
So
that
for those of
be
y'all-
also, I'm sorry, Tyler. Parker, would that
Go ahead.
also kind of play into what you're doing with round robin events on the bigger tour stops?
It's a little separate, but at each of our stops, we're having additional events at each of our stops, whether it's a round robin, cream of the crop, play with the pros. That's going to be at every event, where there's going to be more than just playing and watching pickleball. There's going to be additional events and activities that anyone can participate in.
Let's see, we have one here. This one goes to everybody here. This is, how does the PPA Tixr partnership explicitly aid the growth of pickleball, further incentivize ticket sales, and help provide a great streamlined fan experience?
That's a great question. I'll speak to it from the Tixr side. And the best way to do that would probably be to share the screen again. So In terms of streamlining, this is the landing page. Again, this is for the national championships. And in terms of really streamlining, we have told, and we spoke to pickleball about this right from the get-go, that if you don't have about 70 to 80% of your people coming through the mobile platform, you're doing something wrong. So when you come onto a mobile phone, you don't need a Tixr app. You don't need the PPA Tour app. You can just need a web browser. In terms of streamlining, this is what our new interface is called UX3. As you can see, it's very menu driven. And so it looks a little bit like a Netflix order or a DoorDash, something that you were going to take it. So in terms of streamlining, we've been able to categorize what the offerings of tickets are. So if you wanted to come in on Thursday, you've got Thursday grounds pass, a championship court, or Thursday VIP. And then you can look at gender double championships on Sunday. This is a little, tells you, you click in for further information, the description about what you're going to get for a VIP pass on Sunday. And then you've got everything that we had spoken before about a week-long pass. And then if you want to actually reserve your own court for your friends and yourselves, there's that option as well. In terms of what we've offered the PPA for back-end data, they own the data. That is something that is in our ethos, is the client owns the data. So we give them full transparency into that data, and they can do with that data whatever they like. We will not sell their data. We will not market to our events, other events, to their community. That is strictly their data. And I'll let the PPA speak for the equation.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, Nate on the Tixr side is always getting on us. There's so many features Tixr that we're still not even implementing. And if you follow this nationals tournament that we have, that Jerry's been showing, even in the next few weeks, we've just scratched the surface on what's going to be available at this event. There's going to be, in terms of food, activations, there's going to be a lot going on, and it's a week-long event. But yeah, Tixr's just been a great, they're constantly nudging us, letting know, hey, here's a feature that you guys can use. I would use it with this. They've been a great resource in terms of how we're excelling with their features and what opportunities we may be missing out on.
No, that's absolutely awesome. I'd love to see, hand in hand, both sides go. Let's see, we got Nate on here. Nate, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, sorry, I've been
Yeah.
a dark box this whole time, but one of the tools inside of Tixr, and what we view as a great marketing tool is the fans of pickleball. Basically, people that are coming to their events are going to be the biggest influencers of bringing more people to the event. And so inside Tixr, we have a reward system that effectively allows for a seamless sharing of a unique link and rewards and incentivizes the fans to get some kind of a discount or a special merchandise offering and experience. Those are some of the things that we've been working with Parker and team, but very excited about, as they continue to grow, how they can continue to stress our system and bring out more fans, and excited about the long-term potential, obviously.
Awesome. I appreciate you adding in the extra insight there. And then the last one we have here in the chat is, have you explored any cross marketing with other sports properties or activities? Kind of, bringing the pickleball aspect into, more of, again, just kind of a different market like you guys have been talking about.
Yeah, we've done a few different things. A few things that have been really successful for us have been our celebrity pro-ams. Just kind of trying to bring pickleball into other people's minds. And so we did one in Arizona with Larry Fitzgerald and Michael Phelps, which was great. They came in, they played with the pros, and we did a fun thing there. We've also we have a rollout pickleball court that we'll bring to various places. We had one of our partners did it at the Super Bowl. We also did it at a couple of different conferences. There was an ANA marketing conference last week. We're going to be doing it at an SBJ conference later in the year. And so, yeah, I think it's important for us to continue to market and to show the sport and grow it that way. We also did a collaborative event in Frisco with the PGA, where we brought out Scotty Scheffler and a couple other pro golfers, Rory McIlroy, and we also had Tony Romo and Dirk Nowitzki. And we did like a pickleball night, and the PGA helped cross promote. They used their Twitter, they used their social. It went on golf.com. We had we had John Isner as well from tennis. And so we kind of had tennis, we had basketball, we had football, and we had golf, and everybody sharing that to their various stuff. It was really successful, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, we'll look to do more of that in the future.
For sure. And I think that's one of the best things about pickleball. You know, you guys have already touched on it, but it's really just such a wide range of people who can play the game, whether it's, you know, pros in the pickleball space, pros in other sports, you know, senior citizens, young people, anybody can get into this game. And I think that's really going to help bode well for the growth of it into the future here for you guys. And we actually did have one more question that popped in during your last answer. And we will end on this one. And it says, how will Tom Dundon's involvement directly impact this partnership and its growth moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, Tom, he's involved every day, guys. Like, I love it. And he's spending most of his time here on pickleball. He's in the office every day. My first phone call with him is at before 7 o'clock, and my last one's after 10 o'clock. And I've sure learned a lot, you know, working with him, and he's very invested, and just like he has these qualities and this work ethic that I've never seen anything like it. And this is important to him. And I think, one, it's a hobby, and he's a pretty damn good player himself. But two, for him, it's about actually growing the business, and it's not just a hobby that it's just something that we're going to forget about down the road, but it's something that he obsesses about and he thinks about every day. And just having his involvement has already extremely impacted the sport in general. And I think more so than what people even see today. I mean, I think it's impacted the sport on all levels, whether it be someone that's just starting to play, to somebody that plays every week, to someone that follows the pro tour around. So being able to have someone that has that kind of success and has the Rolodex that he has, yeah, it's greatly helped pickleball, and it's going to continue to greatly help pickleball as we continue to grow and scale.
For sure. Well, and we're looking forward to continue seeing that growth. Guys, that's going to do it for our time here. Thank you so much for everything that you've talked about today. It's been great to listen to it. We're excited to see where the PPA goes into the future, and of course, we're excited to see how Tixr helps you guys get there. Now, for again, just everybody in the webinar today, again, just thank you so much for joining. I want to thank Jerry, Connor, Parker, Nate for the insightful discussions, and we hope that there's some information you guys can take back to your organization and help you guys on a day-to-day basis as well. And of course, as a reminder, if you did enjoy the event today, we would love to have you join us on Wednesday, May 17th at the NSF Virtual Spring Summit. You can find more information for that on our website, www.sports-forum.com. And well, with all that being said, again, thank you so much to everybody. We hope you have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you on May 17th.
Thanks,
Taylor,
guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, I did want to ask just one more thing. Parker or Connor or even Jerry, if anyone had any further questions or wanted to connect with you guys, what would be the best way to do so?
Yeah, I think if anyone wants to reach out to the PPA Tour side, they can go ahead and just send an email to p.roberts@ppatour.com. That's going to be Parker's email, and we'll make sure to respond and get back to you guys on whatever it may be. And we'd love anyone to reach out with anything and everything pickleball. So no dumb reasons to reach out. Would love to connect with anyone that's looking to connect on the PPA Tour side.
Thanks, Melody. Yeah, same thing here. Anyone can feel free to reach out to myself at email jerry.mcnamara@tixr.com.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Guys, have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thanks.